Hello, welcome to another episode of Back to the City. Today I am excited to be joined by 3/5 of Unstable Shapes. If you want to see all 5 members in action, you can see them at Zora Darling, which I've been excited to check out on March 15th.
Correct.
You just put out 2 singles in February.
Mm-hmm.
And those are Glass Ladder, and then more recently, earlier this week, The Local Sphinx. So we'll take a visit through those 2 songs. Also, there's a recording, a live Ice House recording back from April 26th, 2023, of Prince Kissinger, which is, I love that song.
Oh.
What's the story behind that live recording?
Well, we had played a show. By the way, I'm Andrew Sock. I'm the vocalist in Unstable Shapes. So we had just played that show. I think it was our 3rd show.
It's our 3rd gig, yeah.
Yep, third show.
3rd show. And we were really excited to play with Dead History, one of our favorite bands locally, and to play at the Ice House. And we just were lucky enough to pull a recording off that soundboard. So that's what it made. We had our friend Noel Tate clean it up. So
Who you've
sounds
recorded
great. And then he also recorded
the
the 2 singles that have come out. So we had him clean it up so it actually sounded releasable, and we didn't hate our performances on it. So we wanted to get something out there so we could actually have a presence online before the singles came out, and that's how it ended up.
Yep. And it's a really solid song that's still in the sets, presumably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the first song that you wrote.
I've also, by the time that viewers are seeing this, I have been to a show of yours tonight, and captured some footage of you live at Mortimer's.
Yeah.
Presumably there's these 3 songs that we're talking about. What else have I witnessed and documented in your set tonight at Mortimer's?
Well, actually, we'll be playing a new song for the first time. So new that we don't have a name for it
We
yet.
don't have a title for it.
Oh, that's exciting.
And like the lyrics aren't even quite finished, but that's okay. Like I can fudge it. So so we'll be playing that. I don't know.
Phoenix Bucks is gonna be part of that too.
So what's
Is
it?
that the final
Phoenix.
name, though?
Is that the final
I don't know if
name?
that's the final name yet. So like
We've got working names for these.
yeah.
And the working name for one of the songs that you're going to be
Right now it's Phoenix Bucks.
And
Phoenix
Bucks?
Phoenix Bucks.
right. And it's
Why
titled
Phoenix
that.
Bucks?
So it's titled that because we wrote that song the day that the Phoenix Suns beat the Milwaukee Bucks.
The other way around.
Oh, it was the other way around. Sorry, yes. We're not sports fans, okay? James and Ryan are, but
The absent members.
you got the artists
Your
here
sports
today.
balls
okay.
fans did not make an appearance today.
Right.
Just to
Yeah.
introduce
So
everyone.
we wrote that song the day that the Bucks beat the Suns in the NBA Finals in 2022. Is that right? Okay. Well, whatever it was.
I don't remember. Like we said.
It was we were practicing and we got an alert that the Bucks had won, and I was like, that's what we're gonna call this song for right now. And it's just kind of stuck. I don't know if it's gonna be the name on the recording, but because we haven't recorded it yet, but it's a fun enough name. It's a dumb name and it's easy to remember. So.
But you are working with Noel Tate again.
Oh yes.
Yeah, on a full length.
Right.
I like that we're beginning at the moment with Prince Kissinger, and then some of the footage that I will have got at Mortimer's to get a sense of what to expect from that full length. With these live performances that I'm editing into the episode, the angular guitars that are referenced in the bio, echoing over an abyss of muscular bass riffs and kinetic drumming, punctuated with thunderous shouts and screaming feedback, noisy but pretty. So we have like some nice live evidence of that being what the band
We hope
is
so.
all about.
Yeah.
And the other aspect of the bio that really struck me is this particular phrase: post-hardcore paeans to self-discovery and self-deception. And I think that fits really well, like as I was focusing on some of these lyrics to the 2 singles. Could you expand a bit on this dual focus on self-discovery and self-deception, and how that plays out?
I mean, the Local Sphinx in particular is very much focused on that. I think that song in particular was written when I was going through a bit of a turmoil in my personal life. And it's sort of lyrically, I don't want to say it's a search for meaning, but it's a search for, it's like trying to find a reason to have a search for meaning.
I
like,
think it's kind of about the search for meaning.
Right, yeah. It's not literally the search for meaning. It's like, is it even worth it to search for this?
There's a desire for, you're reflecting on a desire for meaning. I need to know
Right.
is a recurring lyric, and then at one point I need to know that it meant something.
Right.
There's some skepticism about whether it means something.
Right. The narrator himself is kind of lost and is not even sure that there is something out there to guide him to a revelation.
Which is why this metaphor or the imagery of the Sphinx is so fitting. I asked the question of the local Sphinx, and it answered back to me why. It's like the song is kind of catching us in the act of yearning for, and maybe almost being addicted to meaning.
Right.
And we don't quite want to write it off as kind of a fool's errand. Maybe there is some meaning, but we're skeptical enough to think it probably is a fool's errand.
Right. There's a line that says, "I haven't been clear in a while," and it's this narrator is assuming that like he has clarity, and maybe he hasn't. He's just deluding himself that was the case.
Glass Ladder opens with things that are not made like they used to be. Everything from magazines, skyscrapers, shoe shiners, diplomats, shark attacks, divorces. Both of these singles, I think, create a context or speak to a context where things that were taken to be kind of stable are not experienced as stable anymore. And the band name is striking me now, Unstable Shapes, kind of fits with that too. So far we've been focusing on some of the lyrics, and I just kind of read the band description of and it fits. That's accurate of like sonically how it sounds. Is there a connection between like how this band sounds and these themes of kind of instability and yearning for meaning, but also skeptical of that very yearning? How does that play out in how the band sounds?
That's a great question. I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I think
it just does.
So I guess I've written a lot of our songs, but not all of them. Came up with the initial little bits and then workshop them. Generally, they change quite a bit.
Is that lyrics as well?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I do the lyrics.
Yeah,
Right. So that's interesting then. So musically, like you come up with the song structures and then lyrics and vocals. That's you.
I mean, I don't exclusively. I wrote a couple songs. I knew a song Kevin came up with.
You come up with a healthy amount of riffs, and then it's oftentimes the band as a whole. I mean, James and I, in particular, the rhythm section kind of drive getting the skeleton of the song organized, making the bits and pieces just work in an effective, cohesive manner.
It's very much a team effort.
Yeah.
Is it always music first and then you're responding to that?
Yeah.
With lyrics and vocals?
I think because a lot of times Mitch will come in with a riff and it'll just kind of gel. And sometimes like Ryan kind of takes his time sometimes to kind of figure out where he wants to put his guitar with that. But I a lot of times just am able to respond to Mitch. And, you know, I have a really, I don't know if it's a unique way to write lyrics, but I kind of have like a slush pile of lyrics. And so what we'll do is when they're jamming out their parts, like I'll just kind of be flipping through this file on my computer, like looking for lyrics and just kind of like seeing how that fits and then finding a way to tie those thematically to it. But I think
like a really solid process.
Yeah, it seems to work. And I think part of why it works so well is I think Mitch does a really good job of creating these spaces where my lyrical approach and the topics and themes that I want to explore, like really kind of like a lot of the things that Mitch is creating, and maybe you can't articulate this because sometimes it's hard to explain music, but like it has this sort of like longing to it, and it has this sort of like, I don't know, like disappointment's not quite the right word, but
No, I don't know.
I don't know if there's like an achingness
Sure.
to what you make, and I feel like I respond to that. Our original idea for this band, it is not really what it sounds like.
What was the original idea?
Because I remember pitching it to you as like Sonic Youth meets Mogwai meets Trail of Dead.
I was recommending Mogwai.
And I think there's probably more Sonic Youth than any of that in there, but like,
I feel like there's definitely bits of all of that.
yeah, there is, yeah.
Yeah.
But I initially thought I was going to be doing a lot more singing and a lot more like pretty
Like
vocals.
harmonious.
Yeah, and I think what we found is maybe
Jarvis Cocker.
right.
Like,
I think what we found is maybe I'm better at what we do now, so maybe that's probably why we went in that direction. But it is really interesting to think of like how we initially conceived of this band versus like what it actually ended up sounding like.
Yeah, I mean, and I remember
interesting.
when we first were talking about, hey, we should start a band.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying, yeah, that'd be cool. I don't want to write anything.
Yeah,
I'll play whatever. I don't want to write anything.
right, and then you write most of it.
It's so interesting. It's interesting hearing about how these songs emerge co-creatively, and then recognizing, I mean, just the opening lyric again of The Local Sphinx, we're all looking for a guide to come and take us by the hand. So this song is co-creatively emerging
Yeah.
without there being like one guide or one person
Right.
that is like the sole songwriter. There is a kind of celebration, I think, of this act of creativity, but just united with a skepticism about like the sole author figure, which comes through in the lyrics about God at the end of The Local Sphinx. I need more than a token, a God that's not broken, a God that is responsible to me, a God who can see what I can't see.
For me, the most important line of that song is, I need a God that's responsible to me.
What does that mean?
So it's really an inverse of the relationship I think most people expect to have with their God or whatever,
Right.
which is that they're subservient, or at least the old rules and roles that we're cast in is that I worship my God.
Do what God
And
wants.
this character that I'm imagining in this song is saying, no, I need a God that's responsible to me, that does what I need it to do. I need something that benefits me rather than serving a God. I need a God that actually serves me.
Right.
So it really is that's like a small turn of phrase, but it's really critical to understanding what this narrator is searching for in this
Yeah.
song. It's interesting you mentioned this song because the first line I actually straight up lifted from a Joy Division song.
Oh, which one? Which
Disorder.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
didn't realize when you were,
Yeah.
Simon, when you were
God to
reciting it
come and take
earlier,
us by the
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
couple minutes ago, I was thinking,
That's
for the first
being
time, I was
Curtis.
like, oh, this
Yeah.
is almost the exact same.
Right.
Disorder.
And
I
and
hadn't thought about it.
yeah, and I really do kind of feel like the sort of relationship that those guys have is very similar to what we have, where like they're part of each other's lives from, I mean, obviously not since childhood, but like Mitch and Ryan and I have known each other for at least 10 years
Yeah.
before we started this band. So, you know, I think that bond is part of it, and I think that's part of why we're able to, like, it took us all kind of a while to get off the ground just because like we hadn't done anything like this in a really long time, and some of us have never done anything like this before. So like it took us a while to like figure out how to do it, but like the actual, like, once we got off the ground, like I feel like we've been really cooking.
Also, we took a solid pause with COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, we took so many pauses.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this
So
is
the band. So when did you have the original idea to have the band that would be coming together of Mogwai and the other?
Yeah, so in
components?
2019, Andrew and Ryan and I went to go see Massive Attack together
Oh.
at Palace.
Yeah, I've been listening to Lost
And-
Masters Attack recently.
Yeah, and that show was incredible. Turns out, we found out later on, after Kevin came on, he was at that Massive Attack show.
Wow.
And then I'm pretty
Meant
sure
to
James
be.
was there too.
No, James was not
Okay,
there,
James
which was
wasn't there.
weird because James was in a band that used to cover Massive Attack.
Yeah.
And we were like,
Which
so
sucked.
why weren't you there?
I think James
James
had
in Texas, they
James
were-
had seen another show on the same tour, if I recall
Yeah,
correctly. So he saw the same show we saw. He just didn't see the same date that we did.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember like, so this was at the Palace downtown St. Paul, and like we walked out of it and we went to the Amsterdam Bar and Hall. What's up, Brenda? I remember just sitting there and like we were just like having a beer, and I was just like, we should start a band. Like we should start a band. And yeah, I remember just like you guys were like, okay, but like how? But okay. Like the intrigue was there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And and it took us. I mean, like it was probably a couple months before, like because you and Ryan kind of like.
Yeah, we met up a couple times and like I don't know, try to come up with some riffs and stuff.
Yeah.
And
I was like, I know a bass player. Like, I think he'd be a really good fit, and that was Kevin.
Yep.
'Cause
Yeah.
I had seen you play with Falcon Arrow, your other
Oh.
band.
Yeah, because I'm in the Great Wind.
Kevin's in the Great Wind,
Which is how you met me.
Play with Falcon Arrow at their record release show, and I was just because I remember you were wearing like a goofy T-shirt.
I always wear goofy
I know,
T-shirts.
Kevin
And back then, I
Kevin's
was
like
always wearing
clothes horse
goofy
in the band.
T-shirts. But yeah, no, you were recording me mainly to get on your podcast, but then you were also mentioning the notion about being in a band, and then
It's the other way around.
Oh.
You don't know this.
okay.
I got you on the podcast so I could get
So
you
you got me in the band. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Oh, it's all coming
Well
out.
played.
Yeah.
But
Spilling
then
the tea.
once Kevin came aboard, that's when we wrote Prince Kissinger. And we kind of like
Yeah.
really, I think that was like a huge confidence booster, and we were like, oh, we can actually like play.
Well, because yeah, I mean, I remember coming in, and I mean, I could tell the riffs were there. You guys weren't used to. I mean, I think a big thing with the songwriting process, really any kind of artistic process, I'm attracted to. There's a decision-making process to it.
Yeah.
Like you're regularly just getting used to just making decisions. And a big thing about making, I think, a lot of forms of art is just getting used to being okay with making decisions and not overly questioning
Right.
it. Because then you just have a healthy amount of material and just being okay with, okay, the decision might not be the best one, but I'm going to make a bunch of decisions here, and
Make a
eventually I'm going
different
to
decision next time.
eventually I'm going to stumble across something that's going to work.
Yeah.
And I mean, the nice thing about music is, worst case, if you make the decision and then later on you realize it's not the best decision, you can just try again and try to adjust it or something like that. Unless, of course, you've already put out the record.
You've got some data.
Yeah, exactly.
Do something
But that's been an interesting thing, like especially seeing with you and Ryan over the last few years working with you guys, is you've kind of gotten much more comfortable with being able to make decisions.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when we wrote Prince Kissinger. I think Ryan had to like run upstairs. We used to have a
I think he
studio.
had to leave earlier.
Yeah.
No, he came back though. So we had this rehearsal space in South Minneapolis that is now gone, and we were downstairs, and Ryan had to go upstairs for some reason, and he was upstairs for like 20 minutes, and the three of us just kind of like roughed it out, and then he came back down, and he's like, "How's it going?" And I was like, "Well, I think we wrote a
I think
song."
we got it.
Yeah.
Because like we were kind of like grinding our wheels for a while, like because I think one of the things that Kevin brings that we didn't have is like you heard the phrase bouncing ideas off each other. Like we weren't bouncing ideas, we were just kind of throwing ideas, and they weren't bouncing. And then Kevin came in, and that allowed us to actually have a counterpoint to like, because I think Kevin's has a lot of overlap with his music interests that we do as well, but you also come from a different perspective that helps us find a counterpoint
No.
to actually bounce that ball off of.
Yeah. Well, and then, and I think I came in and I helped drive, like I was talking about the decision making, and then James came in and it really pushed it forward, like even
Yeah.
Oh,
further.
absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
once James came in, he and I repeatedly a number of times just will really push, like, okay, let's just keep this moving.
Yeah.
It's like, we probably have something here, let's just keep working with it, as opposed to just trying to be like worried about, okay, is this going to work? Just roll with it.
Yeah. And we got really lucky with James too, because like we were struggling to find a drummer. So like the four of us started practicing like probably January of 2020, and then obviously COVID happened. So we kind of just put the whole project on the shelf for probably about a year and a half.
Yeah. Oh well, I had a baby.
Yeah, Mitch had a
This will-
Congratulations, by the way.
No, my wife and I had a baby.
even then, even taking that out, like it was still such an unknown quantity.
Oh
COVID.
yeah. But I mean, I feel like that set us back. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So then, like we were just cooling on the shelf, and like I really didn't know if we were gonna ever reconvene. Like it was kind of because like I think 4 years on, a lot of people forget, but there was a lot of unknowns at that time, and I was just like, man, I don't know if we're ever gonna even spend time with each other again, let alone like play music.
And you're yet to encounter James.
Right. So cut to I think it was June of 2021. So I have a podcast, and we were doing it at Minnehaha Studios. What's up, Tony? And people were just starting to share spaces together, and so I had James on because of my friend Andy Holmes recommended him as a guest. Totally didn't know him at all, and James just got we just exchanged a bunch of emails before the podcast taping, and just I could tell he was super amped, and then we just had a really great session recording that episode of the show, and I was like, I'm going to be a little vulnerable here because I think men of my age need to do that more often.
Yeah.
I emailed James and I was like, listen, I know this sounds kind of corny, but I feel like I've made a lifelong friend with you.
Oh,
And he was like, yeah, I kind of feel like that too. And we just kind of hit it off, And then I said, I know this sounds weird, but do you know any drummers? And he goes, well, I'm a drummer. And I said, well, here's a song that my band recorded. We don't have a drummer. We've been searching for a drummer since we started. Check it out. Let me know what you think. And he was like, this is exactly what I want to play on. And then the vaccines came out, and we were like, oh, cool. Well, now we can actually get back together. And the stars just kind of all aligned. Like that old practice space, we lost that, but then we moved in with Great Went, so we were able to share space, make it easier for Kevin. And it was in Northeast Minneapolis instead of South Minneapolis, so it's easier for everyone involved, and it all just kind of came together.
On the theme of responsibility, it seems like your podcast has been quite responsible
I
for
mean,
the band existing
well,
in various different ways. What is your podcast?
It's called Life Was Peachy. It's a very silly podcast about a terrible genre of music. Mitch absolutely hates it, which I find endearing because I'm questionable on it myself. It's about nu metal, which is a very specific genre of music from the late 90s, early 2000s. And it's
People love to hate it.
Case in point, Mitch is the only one that hasn't been on the podcast.
Well,
if
right.
I'm not mistaken, right?
But Mitch and his wife are going to be on it at some point.
Sure.
Because she's excited about doing an episode, which is very funny to me.
Nu metal is something that they don't make like they used to.
That they very much don't. To tie that back to Unstable Shapes, I feel like, part of like the lyrical content of Unstable Shapes is like, it's part of it is about like having a life that didn't turn out the way you thought it was going to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I think back to what I thought my life was gonna be like when I was 16, like that is not how I live now. I mean, you can draw a pretty clear parallel to that to the song Glass Ladder. I mean,
totally, yeah.
So I think,
life was peachy, and they don't make XYZ like they used to. Seem to come from the same.
Right. Yeah.
Sentiment.
So I mean, I think lyrically, that's a lot of the themes I'm exploring. Is like, oh, this is not what was advertised on the tin. Like, this is not. You're not getting what you thought you were going to get, and you just have to make your peace with that and roll with that.
I want to go back to the Joy Division.
Okay.
Because that was news to you guys. When you was.
I wasn't aware of that. I mean.
Yeah.
I
So
certainly have my Joy Division influences.
We
that I
we
try to bring to
love.
the table.
I think everybody in this band loves
Yeah.
Joy Division.
Yeah.
I love Joy Division
Yeah,
too.
they're so good.
That song ends. I've got the spirit, but loose feeling.
I think the thing is, we play really loud, and our PA
Yeah, our PA
space
sucks.
is not the best, so it's hard.
Half the time they don't know what my lyrics are.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah.
So,
And that's not on purpose. I'm not like hiding them from them. It's like, it's just a technical issue.
And then the lyrics and the vocals are coming in response to the music. You have this pile, you were saying, slush pile. Was Joy Division in there, or was there something about the music that just led you to that Joy Division?
I mean, I think that song in particular, like it felt like there was like a yearning to what Mitch was putting in there. That like I was and like I said, I was going through a difficult time. I mean, I think we all still kind of are right now.
Yeah.
And I think in times of turmoil, it's natural to be like, I don't know who's got the answer, but somebody's got the answer, and I just want them to tell me the answer.
Yeah.
but that's not really
relatable
how
desire.
it works. You know, there like there's a slippage between what you think is real and what is real, and it's really hard to see that sometimes. And I think that song is kind of trying to get at that.
Totally. Yeah, I was drawn to come back to Joy Division again because it struck me that the song ends with the sense of having lost something, I lose the feeling.
Yeah.
And then that fits with the kind of life was peachy and
Sure.
they don't make this like they used to anymore. And so on the one hand, we're kind of sensing the lack of something, and but then in the absence of a guide to come and take us by the hand, we do have the presence of some accomplices that can co-create together, and in Kevin, perhaps a guide to, okay, what we're doing here is experimenting with this musical idea. Let's stick around, let's do the whole experiment and let it become something.
Right.
It struck me before the interview, because I was just listening to the Prince Kissinger recording, and the lyric near the end of that is living in the glass globe in a wrecked world, you were
Right.
confirming. And of course, it just struck me that there's this recurring glass focus. So I'll be climbing that great glass ladder, and we're living in a glass globe.
Right.
Is that significant?
I mean, honestly, like the Prince Kissinger lyric came together so quickly, and it was it was like 4 years ago I wrote those lyrics. So like my life was very, I don't want to say it was very different, but certain parts of my life were very different back then than they are now. I think Prince Kissinger lyrically is much less personal, much less personal.
It is, yeah.
So I think, I mean, neither song is necessarily from my perspective, but I think I don't know that there's a narrator in Prince Kissinger. It's more of a populist song. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, the lyrics about being an agent provocateur,
Right.
And it's enjoying itself, I think, and it's kind of playing with the listener.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas Local Sphinx, with like, I need some. The lyric is, I need to know.
Right.
It's need. The sense of the felt need is more present.
Yeah.
And whereas Prince Kissinger is amusing and clever and playful.
Right. I mean, yeah, the first line in Prince Kissinger is "Kiss me like a spy." I mean, like in my head, I'm like imagining a spy movie happening and you know, I mean, it's named after Kissinger because like it's sort of exploring this idea of like intrigue, espionage, but trying to tie that into a larger sort of sphere, I guess. I don't know how to. It's a weird song. I mean, lyrically, I can't quite articulate what it's about because and sometimes these songs are a mystery to me as a lyricist. Sometimes the words just are what they are, and I kind of have made my peace with that. Sometimes you don't question the muse; you just go with it.
Right.
Not to sound too
don't question
highfalutin.
the muse. Don't question the Sphinx.
Right. I mean, you can question the Sphinx. That's the whole point of that song. Is like the Sphinx also does not know. So.
And then the instability being foregrounded in the band name. There is something we've been talking about, being with the idea to kind of see it through and allow it to take form. There's conversely a commitment, I think, to just allowing oneself to be with the uncertainty.
Yeah.
That's a good balance. So what do we? You're near the end of the process of tracking the record now. You're anticipating maybe come March.
Yeah,
recorded
we're
it.
in the process of writing the record.
Writing it, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we recorded 4 songs so far with Noel. And
So these 2 singles and then 2 more
Two
that
more,
are not
yeah.
Yep,
released yet.
Prince Kissinger is one of them. And
What's the other one?
The other one we recorded is Flesh and Blood and Stars.
yeah,
Okay, I'll try and capture that at the show tonight.
That's a crowd favorite.
It's a crowd favorite.
we're not playing that.
I don't think we're
We're
playing
not
it
playing
tonight,
that song.
actually.
Never mind, we're not playing that.
I will not succeed.
Yeah.
I mean, we could.
You can try to capture it, but you will not succeed.
I don't think there's.
So when we start a new song, like when we actually in earnest start a new song, in my notes app that I write my lyrics in, I always put the date, the first date that we did it on. I don't know if you know that I do that,
No,
but
that's cool.
yeah, but like some of these songs, I'm like we have a song. I don't have my notes in front of me, but I mean, it's like we started it like a year and a half ago.
I mean, Local Sphinx is super old.
Yeah,
We started messing around with the. Came up with the verse part. Like 2021.
it was probably late. It was probably early 2022. I don't. Yeah, but yeah, but like we finished it by.
Well, we just like messed around with it a little bit, had a different feel. We hadn't come up with the chorus, or maybe it was
Yeah.
a different chorus at that point.
Something like that, yeah.
And then we kind of just like shelved it for a while.
Yeah.
I think you were like, let's revisit this.
Yeah, Mitch always doubts his riffs, and I'm like, no, like, don't doubt yourself.
I mean, I have a very healthy dose of imposter syndrome. That this is weird. I've never been in a band before. Like, right, you start your first band at 36
You're
or
sick.
whatever. Like,
You're amongst loved ones.
it's kind of weird. I had never played a show until our first show.
When was the first show?
February 3rd of 2020.
364 days ago.
Yeah.
And then this Ice House show was like the third show.
Yeah.
Yes.
We play like a show a month.
Yeah, we try to do about it. And we don't want to like. I mean, like, I have nothing else in my life, so like, I would play in this band every night if I could. But you know, Ryan and Mitch have kids. Like, Kevin's in a relationship. James has a wife, and he's busy with his job. So, like, I'm the odd man out, being like, can we do it like more? And they're like, no, we got to see our kids.
Well, a show, man.
Which is fair.
It's a
I
good
mean,
amount.
that's like, I'm the unrealistic one.
Yeah. But yeah, so back to that. So we shelved it for a long time. You have to dig up dates.
Yeah.
Find out when we actually
Yeah.
first started. It was a long time. But then, yeah, we revisited it and we're like, oh, so we could
We're always like, it's really interesting because, like, I think, like, James and Kevin and I can sometimes hear things in Mitch's riffs that he doesn't hear. Like, when we started Local Sphinx, like, I remember thinking it sounded like in Rainbow's era. No, maybe it was even the Hail the Thief era of Radiohead.
Yeah.
And like, and part of it was what James was doing on the drums, which is very different from what he actually does now. And like, I remember you're like, I don't know, man, I don't think that's what we sound like. And I'm like, yeah, but like, we'll get it to what we sound like. But it is really interesting to like, because we also we don't record our entire practice, but if we feel like we've got a beat on something, like we'll do a demo from the rehearsal space of that. And we have like a shared Dropbox folder. So like, you can go back through and track each version of the song, and sometimes they vary a lot, and sometimes they're pretty much on the nose each
Consistent.
time. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like an exciting place to be, especially so the first band, but you're already at a stage where you have more songs. You can't fit all of your songs into the set list, and you have choices for which ones, therefore, to put on the record. And so, yeah, I'm excited. It sounds like you're committed to wrapping up work on determining what the record is going to be soon.
Yeah, I think we have like two more songs that we're trying to finish writing, and then we'll go in and record the rest with Noel. And
Who's going to be a guest on this?
yeah, that'd be
very
great.
soon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it turns out that you are
Yeah.
doing some backing vocals,
So-
Jarvis Cocker-esque backing vocals
Yeah.
on a couple of the songs.
Yeah,
on
I met
Technical
Noel
Red.
Someone is at the
20
front door.
years ago. My old band was on tour, and we had to record a song for a tribute to the band Failure. And it just so happened that Noel was like offering a special recording rate, and we were playing a show at the same space that he was recording his studio was at. So we're like, well, let's just do it. And we just hit it off. And then when that band broke up, I was like, well, I want to move somewhere where like I can continue to pursue creative pursuits. And so I chose Minneapolis, partly because Noel was here. Then we were roommates for a while, and it's just been a really rewarding relationship that has allowed me to develop this part of my creative side that I hadn't been able to before. So it's really great.
Yeah, very exciting.
We have like a shorthand too, like we kind of understand each other really well. And I think, Mitch and Ryan also are on that same page, probably.
Yeah, I mean, like, since we've been doing stuff with Noel, I have to have a new mic because I'm too quiet, apparently. Noel's been really great to work with, and I think it's been really awesome for me because I think Noel, like, gets what I'm like as a person, and, like, he's given me a lot of, like, reassurance along the way and stuff, which has been cool. I don't know. I felt very comfortable recording with him. Like, I'd never recorded anything before. So it was good, and I've been friends with Noel for a long time too. He was a friend of mine before. Are we colleagues now? I don't know. Someone we've had a working relationship with, you know, like. But yeah, so. He was really patient with us, like, you know, like knowing that it's my first time recording.
Right.
This is the first time Ryan's recorded playing guitar, you know. So I don't know. It was good to work with Noel.
Yeah.
Noel's been in lots
So
of
much
bands,
stuff, yeah.
but I am particularly excited about Tender Comrade, and it seems like an exciting time for it. There's a bunch of new bands emerging. Case in point here, Tender Comrade as well.
Yeah, it's a really great time for local music. I mean, I remember, you know, maybe 10 years ago or so, there was a pretty great scene, and then it just kind of seemed to recede a little bit. And now I think with all these venues opening up, like Cloudland and Zora Darling, and even Green Room in Minneapolis, in Uptown, Lagoon area, I think there's now space for all of these great bands, Battery Eyes and Another Heaven, and you know, Upright Forms, and you know, Curve, all these bands that we're friends with. Like, there's just so much great music in the scene right now, and it's really cool to be a part of that.
Yep.
You know, one of the things I remember telling Mitch when we first started playing shows, and I was like, I know you don't know this because you've never been in a band before, but part of the best part of being in a band is you're now in this sort of like secret fraternity of other bands, and then we have our own fraternity within the fraternity.
Yeah, there's a recurring focus on, like, there's the app. Who needs a guy to take us by the hand when we have
each other? Yeah,
that seems to be the recurring focus.
Yeah, and I think, again, going back to like men of a certain age, I think there's that communal aspect that we may not be willing to say that we need, but we do need that. And you can find that when you're a part of this scene. And, you know, and not to say that's all men, because, you know, we know plenty of women. What's up, Emily? What's up, Val? Who are involved in the scene as well. And I think that there's a real benefit to the community aspect of being in a band too.
Men are just the ones that have
What's up,
the
Christy?
bigger problem acknowledging what they truly need.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is what you. I am really excited about this. All these new bands coming out, new venues. Berlin as well is a new.
Where's Berlin?
It's just new this month, February, and it's downtown Minneapolis.
Oh.
At the time of recording, it hasn't opened yet. But
Interesting.
that's alongside Zora Darling, one that I'm really excited to check out.
Zora Darling is a great space too. We got to see Quicksand there, and wow.
Did you go to that show?
I was not at Zora Darling. I brunched there. I
Great
have
food.
rocked out there.
Killer French fries.
Killer food.
I've heard very good things about the food and the cocktails, and our closing note should be that is, of course, where your show is going to be.
Right.
On March 15th. Who else is going to be playing that night?
Right now, I think the only other confirmed act is Monica LaPlante, which we're very excited about.
We just saw Christy.
We just Christy.
Tracked this episode after the interview with Christy. She plays with Monica LaPlante.
Yeah, and I mean, and I was just saying to these guys, what I think is such a cool thing is Monica and Christy and everyone else in that band.
Ryan Austin.
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah. They all have their own band, and they just kind of rotate spots as to who's in.
Hydra.
Yeah,
it's that is like the. We were talking about the fraternity. That's
they figured out like they like each other enough that they can just it's really cool.
That is really cool. And of course, this was filmed the day that Glass Ladder came out. This February 2nd is our date. So, although on February 2nd, the only other band confirmed for the bill was Monica LaPlante.
Right.
By the time you're watching this, which is of course February 22nd, the full bill is set.
The full bill will be available by then.
Here's the event info added by editing me. Here's the full bill, unbeknownst to us at the moment. Come and join us at Zora Darling in just a few days' time. Oh no, on March 15th. Come and join us on March 15th, and yeah, there'll be the opportunity to see the full band in action, as I will have done tonight, and hopefully there's lots of evidence of you in action edited into the episode. I haven't seen you live yet, but I do really like that the Ice House recording.
Yeah.
I can tell
Ryan
that,
did a great job with the
Yeah.
recording too. Yeah.
yeah.
Ryan Mock.
Ryan Mock.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was
yeah,
working
yeah.
sound
What
that
up,
night.
Ryan?
Yep.
Absolutely. Cool.
Shout out to Sax. What's up, Sax?
So clearly they sound good on the record. Good job, band. Good job,
Thank
Noel.
you. Yeah.
And but a really good live band. Catch them on March 15th at Zora Darling. This has been Back to the City. I'm Simon Colt. Thank you very much, 3/5 of Unstable Shapes, for joining us today. And we'll see you at Zora Darling on Friday, March 15th.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks.